episode 8.
We're not live.
Technically,
Almost live.
I'm live.
We're live right now.
I'm always alive.
Good point.
Oh,
Alive.
wow.
Nice
Great.
job.
Thank you. We're in episode 8. Some of y'all didn't think we'd make it to episode 4, and here we are at episode 8.
I love how we say that every episode.
Do we?
Yeah, every episode.
This is the first time I've ever said it.
Every single time.
Today's podcast is brought to you by The Little Widow That Could. It's a wonderful children's book about the little widow that could. It's going to tie in with our Mother's Day this Sunday. This Sunday's Mother's Day. Do y'all remember that?
Yep, I already got my mom a gift.
Oh, I'd ask you what it is, but she might listen.
I already gave it to her.
Oh, okay. Then
It's
what
patio
was it?
furniture.
It was patio furniture.
Oh my
Andrew thought.
goodness.
How boring is that?
Okay, Andrew, what'd you get your mom?
Nothing.
Sorry, Joy.
Okay, can I since I got myself a Mother's Day gift.
You get yourself a mother? You're not a mom.
Is that awkward?
Yeah, that's weird.
It'll benefit Becky, but it's mine.
You can't say what it is, can you?
Yeah, I already got it.
Oh, okay. What is it?
I have a new grill.
You can't
Interesting.
grill.
Yes, I have a new grill. It's a 4-burner. It's a expert grill. It is massive. The Cadillac of all grills. This thing took me at least about 4 hours to build yesterday.
If you have to build a grill, then that's an issue.
Build?
Yes, I had to build the whole thing.
Because you ordered on Amazon.
Ordered on Amazon. Comes in a beautiful big old box and instructions, and I worked very hard on it, and we had wonderful burgers yesterday. How cool is that?
You eat hamburgers?
Yes, I eat burgers, dipwad. I'm a meatitarian, not a vegetarian.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't think you're a vegetarian. I think you're afraid of vegetables. It's like a phobia.
I'm allergic.
No, you're not.
Allergic.
I have really bad reflexes when it comes to vegetables, but that's an episode of another day. It's episode 12.
Well, I'll
The
keep your word for that.
negativity of
Vegetables.
vegetables. But anyway, I'm excited because I got myself a nice big old grill, which Becky can eat the burgers from that I make. So it benefits
That
everybody.
doesn't benefit her.
Benefits everybody. So I'm excited. Mother's Day, I have a wonderful sermon this Mother's Day that I'm excited about sharing with people. And Mother's Day is hard for a pastor because not everybody has their mother still alive. Not everybody likes their mother. There's some people that are trying to become mothers and they're not able to. And so you're trying to navigate all those things while also trying to honor a holiday like Mother's Day
And still giving the gospel message.
and still give the gospel message. So one of the things, I'll give you a trade secret. One of the things that we always try to do is we want to address it's Mother's Day, and we don't really want to talk about it anymore, right? The sermon's going to apply to everybody, not just mothers. When you start to apply it just to mothers, you're gonna divide, right? Fathers aren't going to listen to it, right? If you just gear it towards mothers, the single woman that's listened to it's not going to listen. So we're going to address Mother's Day in the beginning, then you don't really talk about Mother's Day really that much. So that's kind of that's my trade secret. But you always want to make sure that you're following the holidays.
You should always know.
I think that's so important. I was gonna make a rule. For today's episode. No cell phones.
I need my cell phone. Brittany doesn't.
No
Brittany's
cell
distracted.
phones. I almost did. Yeah, last episode.
If you
I
haven't
was
watched
going to
our-
carry the show by myself.
If you haven't watched, you really can't tell on the audio version, but if you've watched the YouTube version, which is on Abram Carter Ministries,
It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing because Brittany gets up like 3 times. What was
Listen,
happening was last Friday, last week was Love Your Neighbor Week.
Yep.
And we had food delivered
For Love Your Neighbor Week.
for Love Your Neighbor Week.
All right.
But it was a little distracting because we started the podcast at the time that the food was getting delivered, so we were getting phone calls. It was crazy. But anyway, if you want to watch that YouTube, it's actually kind of funny. Brittany gets up a couple times, makes some phone calls.
But here's the thing that bothers me. Sometimes a lot of pastors will plan their sermons out a year in advance. Some people do it in a couple months in advance. Some people don't plan them out at all. But you always want to make sure that you're paying attention to the calendar, right? Because you never want to be in the middle of a series and have to stop because of a holiday. You don't want to start a series at the beginning of a holiday because then you completely miss all those things. Because a lot of people come to church for events, for those holiday
Well,
events.
we've seen this, not this year for Easter, but last year for Easter, there was a pastor who was in the middle of a series,
Yep.
had Easter. He
Had
did
to
like
stop.
2 weeks of a series, had Easter, and
Had
then
to stop.
finished like 3 weeks of the series. It was
Yeah.
the weirdest thing.
Well, and even I've seen pastors that have tried to go through the whole book of Revelation, and so they'll be going Revelation, then whoop, I gotta stop and do a
holiday, yeah.
I got Martin Luther King Day, then Revelation, whoop, there's Easter, Revelation, whoop, Mother's Day, and it really confuses people. And so you want to make sure that your series are really working around the holidays. I know somebody's starting a series this Sunday that has nothing to do with Mother's Day. So it's like, you're going to have to address Mother's Day, and then you're in this weird series that has nothing to do with it. You want to address it.
And I think it's also important to hit holidays because even if it's just happening the week before that Sunday, if it doesn't fall on that weekend or whatever, because people want relevant stuff.
And people are going to be looking on Facebook for Mother's Day things, right? Like if I'm a mother and I'm struggling with something, I'm going to look at a sermon that's titled Mother's Day, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be aware of those things.
Cautious. Not cautious. Aware is the word.
I made a post yesterday that has been getting well received.
Let's hear it.
What was it?
I ain't gonna give you the whole thing,
Why?
but it's about the new.
You posted like 3 times yesterday.
I know, man. I usually only do 1 or 2, but I was feeling good yesterday.
It was a nice day yesterday.
One of the
Real
things
nice.
was the new normal. Can we talk about the new normal for a little bit?
Yeah, I don't like it.
I hate the new normal. I hate the words, the new normal. Never in my life have I ever liked those words, new normal. After 9/11, they go, you're never gonna fly a plane. This is a new normal.
Guess what? People are flying planes next
I
year.
don't care, man. People are on planes. People hate people hate going through the security guard thing, the TSA. Why? Because people don't like the new normal, and it's not because people get upset because they're like. And let me rephrase all this. I'm getting ahead of myself. Pastors love this phrase, new normal. The only person I see it in the media, but more than that, I see every pastor say those phrases. This is the new normal, and they're like proud of it. Like this is the new normal. But what you're doing is you're hurting people by saying that. You're telling people the new normal is no hugs. You're telling people the new normal is no handshakes.
Or, the new normal is not coming to church.
Or not coming to church.
If you say new normal, people aren't in church right now. You could say, if you say new normal, people are thinking, oh, I don't ever have to go to church again.
If I'm in a depressive state of mind right now, and I'm depressed, and I'm going through a lot of mental problems, and then I see on Facebook a pastor saying this is the new normal,
It's frightening.
oh my gosh, there's no hope.
Yeah.
My feeling that I'm feeling at this moment is going to be how I'm supposed to feel for the rest of my life. No, thank you. I'm supposed to wear masks and gloves for the rest of my life. No, thank you.
When I think this is the biggest place churches have failed, at least now, is because churches should be a glimmer of hope. Because there's nothing negative about the Bible. The Bible is all encouraging, positive things, right?
There's some judgment,
There is
hell,
a
and
little bit of
wrath,
judgment. But anyway, aside from that, mainly the gospel message is a positive thing.
yeah,
So churches should be relaying that.
and it ends in victory.
It
for
ends in
us.
victory. That's the big. That's the thing. It ends in victory. So it's amazing to me how some of these pastors can go talk about depression for half an hour and then it's like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
Nobody
And-
wants to be in the new normal, so why even say it's a thing? It's not a thing. Everything's opening back up in the coming weeks. It's not a thing. At least here in Kentucky.
And the thing about it is, we don't want there to be a new normal, right?
Yeah.
We want people to be in church. We want people to be praising God. Those are things that have always been normal, right? We want that. It's been 2,000 years they've been praising God. That's normal. So when you say, hey, this is not, we're gonna have to do baptisms online, like, come on, give me a break. That's not the norm, and it's not going to be as long as I'm here. That's not my normal, right? So
should be get back to normal, not the new normal.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting time period that we're living in. I mean, very interesting. I saw an article this week about. I saw an article this week that was talking about pastors from churches that don't have pastors. Did y'all see this?
Yeah.
Good article.
Churches that don't have pastors, and they're saying that their church is not even doing anything. Right? They're not doing online service. There's not a deacon that steps up to preach. There's not a member that's stepping up to preach. They're not doing anything. They're just waiting on that pastor. What are your thoughts?
What do you think? I was gonna go a different direction, so I'll let Brittany comment first.
Yeah. Well, I read the article, and I just thought it was very, very interesting about how, I don't know, it's supposed to be a positive article, and I just felt like it was weird. Like, why aren't these people stepping up? If anything, you're giving them a reason not to ever do it again.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like after this, the person that's doing it leaves, what are they going to do? Are they just going to stay without having a pastor? The church aren't going to do anything?
You have to explain that. I don't know if they know it. They
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
read the article.
So, a pastor is stepping up and doing 3 church services for different churches
That are without pastors.
that are without pastors.
There's
Yes.
several of them that are still without.
Yes. So he's doing this, and my question is, what's going to happen after all of this? Are they just going to stay not doing anything? Or are they going to rely on another pastor? My understanding, he has his own church, correct?
He's the director of association.
Oh, director of association.
It's frustrating to me when I see it. I think what he's doing is a great thing.
Yeah.
He's stepping up. He's preaching one sermon 3 times for 3 different churches. But there are so many churches that are without a pastor, and they're sitting there going, I have nothing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though we're the church, having a pastor up on the pulpit is not the church, right? We are the church. The people of the church are the church. And if we're not actively working at a couple things, one, we need to be stepping up when the preacher's gone, right? We need to be, but that's on, a lot of times it's on the preacher. We need to be mentoring younger people. And
To take over what they're
to
doing.
take over. I don't know where in the Bible it says, contact somebody from another state or another nation and bring them in.
It has a degree.
Has a big old degree, and then
That would be my next question. What are they requiring?
Yeah.
These churches that don't have pastors, and why?
well, I'll even say this. I was talking to a professor at seminary. And he was discussing a couple different things. Let's take a little break. Can we take a break?
We can take a break. Let's take
a multiple break. We'll continue this
man.
conversation.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
All right, apologize for that interruption.
We're back.
We had to make a little bit of a pit stop. We're trying to get faster internet into our church building.
Currently, we are getting it.
And so we were trying to talk to the technician to make sure everything was taken care of. This is the
I
third-
talked to him. You guys didn't talk to him.
Yeah, if
She
you're
is the
watching,
administrative assistant.
That's my
it's her
job.
job.
But we had, this is the third time they've been in our church, so sorry about that.
Anyway, we're here. We're back.
But we are back. And
What's our sponsor again? I don't think it was good enough for me to remember. to
It's
be
the
honest.
Widowmaker.
Ah, right, Widowmaker. Yeah.
Making, I don't remember how I tie that in. Something that specialized with Mother's Day. And, but anyway, we were talking about a podcast. We were talking about an article that we saw, really just talking about a group of churches that were not having service online for various reasons, mostly because they don't have a pastor. This broke my heart when I read it because, as a pastor of a church, my heart is just burdened because I want to make sure that the next generation is ready. We want to make sure that there's people that can fill into any position if anything were to happen in a blink of an eye, right? The interview process, the pastor search team process, it is such a long process and it's drawn out and it doesn't make sense.
I don't understand it
Because they're looking for a specific person, and a lot of times that person on a pastor search team, there's a PhD behind them, the name or whatever. I don't know if that's the correct term, but when really, I think we overlook so many called people inside of our churches that are there right now, that we overlook them because we're trying to find the certain person that fits a criteria that is not biblical. It's not a biblical criteria.
That's the biggest thing, I think.
But it's a church criteria.
Yeah, and I think it's weird. Personally, I think it's kind of weird how you're talking pastor search committees and all these things. I think it's kind of weird how they go so far away to look to pastors.
Every time. Well,
Like,
and the reason you almost have to, because if you're going to look for your criteria, it's hard to get.
Yeah, you can't get it where you're at. But that's the thing; they're looking for an impossible person.
I was speaking to a seminary. Before we cut off, I was speaking to a seminary professor who literally said he's a pastor as well. He does teaching at a school in Kentucky, and he was literally sitting there going, "I have so many students that are going into ministry, and I tell them, intern at my church. We'll work your way up. We'll get you into the youth leader position. We'll ordain you. We'll do all this stuff. We'll work your way up so that you can get into a pastor position." And he says all their students say no because they don't want to be an intern. They don't want to be a youth leader. They want a $70,000 paycheck as soon as they graduate from school at a big church with 500, 600,000 people in there, just right off the bat. And that is hurting so many churches because there's no pastors that are available or affordable.
Right.
And then that hurts these people because they're not actually putting in the work. And so when you hire somebody that does not have any experience, but they have a seminary degree, they have expectations, and they walk into that church going, I think I know how to do this. And then they cause all these divisions, all these problems, and they're overwhelmed. And then those are the people that are dealing with mental health problems because they are not called to be a pastor of a big church. They just want that position.
I think you can take a step back and even look at that in a life standpoint.
Yeah.
Especially Brittany getting out of college just now, she could probably speak for this. But I've heard it a bazillion times. We talked about it a little bit last episode.
Abram said it actually.
Yeah, Abram said it last episode. But it's crazy how people get out of school, high school, college, and they immediately want to start living the way that their parents live. And I was actually
Or their mentor that they love.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to someone. Probably should have brought it up last episode while we were talking about it, but that's okay. Probably about a month ago, maybe. And he was like, he actually brought it up to me first, and I thought it was a great point because it's like you get out of school and you can't instantly do things you want to do. You have to. I mean, that's just not how life works.
Not at all.
And the same concept applies to what you were just talking about in churches.
And I can testify to what Abram was saying because I was a youth that moved into an internship role at the church I was at. And honestly, I have learned so much from actually just diving into learning about being a youth leader, being in the youth, working with the youth, from actually doing it, that I don't think I could get from a book. And I've also taken the college out of going to college and getting a social work degree. And I can say, all the places that I can apply to right now wants at least 2 years of experience. I don't have that. I have a college degree, and I think that testifies to how much experience means when you go for a job.
Goes a long way.
Especially jobs that you're dealing with kids and pastor positions, because you're dealing with other people. You can't tell me there's a book that can tell you everything about different kinds of people. I'm different from Andrew. Abram has to pastor to about 150 different people. You can't find that in a book.
No. And
That's a good point.
That's a very good point. And books that are at seminary school are not going to talk about people that are in rural areas.
No, because that's what we talked about before on here is the importance of community, knowing your community, and that goes a long way. I think that goes way more than you could ever learn in a school. I think knowing your community is probably the most valuable information you can have.
And having somebody that has been put through the ringers inside of a church, right? I was a worship leader. I've been a youth leader. I was a resident, whatever that was.
Campus ministry.
But I've been in enough churches, and I grew up with my dad as a pastor. I've been in enough churches. I've seen it, and I have always said I've been called to do this. And it breaks my heart that people will overlook. You know, for years people overlooked me because they go, well, Abram, you don't have a degree, you don't have the pedigree, you don't have the whatever. And it's like, well,
show me where.
yeah, I mean, this is the issue. You're going to get somebody that doesn't have any experience at all, but they have a degree, as opposed to me who has experience. Maybe not as a pastor, but experience in a church, which I think goes a long way.
I think it does.
And it's just, we have to do a better job as a church of mentoring the next generation.
That's the biggest thing.
Right, we have to. Putting those younger people in leadership position at a young age is going to help them take over the churches eventually, right?
Well, they're going to take, especially if you're someone they look up to, they're going to take that as like, oh, wow, this person really sees a lot in me. You know, I can probably do this one day, you know.
And
so,
this is just as
I think it goes a long
for churches. I think Christians in general, parents, when you're raising your kids, what are you telling them to do? You need to go to college, you need to get a degree, you need to make all this money. What does the Bible say we need to do? We put all these things, success, it's college, you have to go to college. Everything in high school was, hey, are you going to college? What are you going to do with your life? It's simple. I'm going to live for Christ.
And biblically speaking, if you look through the Bible, they were always mentoring somebody else, right? Jesus was mentoring his disciples. The apostles were mentoring other younger pastors. They were encouraging one another. It wasn't, hey, we're going to get somebody we don't know. We're going to bring them into our community, into our environment, and then have them take over. And I'm not dogging that. Some people can do that very well. Some people are very flexible to go into a different community, and then they pour their lives into that community. I've seen a lot of great pastors from out of state
it's possible.
that can do it.
It's definitely achievable.
But the majority of them can't. Right? The majority of them go, I'm going to bring a little piece of Ohio to Kentucky. And Kentucky we don't want none of your Ohio stuff. And so
Sorry, Ohioans.
So it clashes, man. It really does clash. And you have to be aware that as a pastor, if you're going to a different location, different community, I don't care if it's next town over, community over, state over, you have to be aware of those different things and address them accordingly. But it just breaks my heart.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's just, I think the most valuable information you can have is just knowing where you're at.
Knowing where you're at, knowing your community, and then pouring into your community. We've probably, this whole pandemic has been a real push, and maybe this is what this podcast is about, outreach. Outreach is just such a big part of our lives as being in the ministry. And what breaks my heart is seeing, we've had opportunities that our church has tried their hardest to do a pastor appreciation day for me. They have pushed it. They've tried to do puppets. They've tried to do a parade. They've tried to do all these, let's give gift cards. They've been running. I love them to death. They've been trying to.
They have good intentions.
Good intentions.
It's nothing bad about their ideas.
But here's the issue that I'm having. Right? I do not want. We're in a pandemic. People are struggling. People are really going through hard times right now. I do not want our church to put a spotlight on me right now as the pastor.
It doesn't look very good.
Right? It doesn't look good at all.
Because on the flip side, as someone who's never been here, who's just strictly been paying attention to us through the pandemic, then they're looking at it and being like, wow, it looks bad on you, really.
It looks bad on me. It looks terrible.
It just looks like you're the one looking for the praise.
And it shows us that we're inwardly focused and we're worried about ourselves and we're worried about the pastor and making sure he's encouraged. And I know what the Bible says. I study the Bible all the time, and I take great comfort in the Bible. I'm very upbeat because of the Bible. I know that tomorrow's going to be a wonderful day because of the Bible, and so I don't need encouragement from people because I get encouragement from God. But our focus as a church is outreach, and our focus on the church is our community. And I want that to be the number one thing that we're pushing and that we're advertising and that we're showing the world that our church, our focus isn't the pastor, and our focus isn't trying to encourage the pastor. Our focus is encouraging the community and showing the community there is hope in Jesus Christ. And I think sometimes we get lost when we try to focus on the pastor, and that's really been something that's really been.
Like we said, there's no negative. I mean, there's no they're all doing it for very good intentions.
Good intentions.
It's not. Yeah.
But I think the best thing that a pastor could see is their congregation going out, spreading the gospel, and doing outreach. I mean, at least for you are just like ecstatic about sharing what our church members are doing right now. And I think that's what excites you the most and encourages you the most.
I think that's the word.
Pastor.
Yep, I think that's the most encouraging thing.
Right.
Seeing your congregation act out like our biggest thing here at Trinity is being a church on the move. Always doing something right in the community. And I think seeing that is more encouraging than getting
and knowing
far.
that it doesn't have to rely on the pastor all the time. I know a lot of pastors are having to do everything. They're trying to do the outreach themselves. They're trying to, pass out the Mother's Day gifts by themselves, or, and that's weighs on them. But for me to be able to see the church operate in such a way that, somebody's already taking care of the Mother's Day gifts, somebody's taking care of the music, somebody's taking care of the outreach, somebody's taking care of the volunteers. I have a lady at church that just messaged me this week and said, hey, I want to get something for all the people that are working with the outreach team. And so the outreach team which that's a surprise. So if you're on the outreach team, close your ears. But
spoiler alert, golly.
But even there, we have somebody like the outreach team is focused on taking care of the community, and now you have members of the church that are focusing on taking care of the outreach team. Like that is unbelievable.
It's just a support system.
It's unbelievable, and that's how a church should run. Which is this people are focused on them. We're focused on them. Everybody's focused on each other, so that no one's really being left out. We have people focused on our shut-ins. We have people focused on prayer lists. We have people. I mean, it's a daunting task, but when you split it up that way, nobody's being burnt out because everybody's focusing on just something real little.
And I don't want to speak for you, but I would say as a pastor, that's probably encouraging.
Very encouraging. I appreciate that. I never really thought of it that way, but you're exactly right. I get more encouraged by that.
Exactly, because that's what you're telling them. That's what you're preaching them to do.
100%.
Go do things for the community.
So
spread love.
And I'm gonna tell you this too, since we're on outreach. Do it for the right reason. I don't understand it. Do it for the right reason. It's absurd that you do it for any other reason. I say another trend that I've been noticing lately. Everybody, they advertise for the census. The census is going around right now. They're trying to find out where Jesus is. But anyway, But there's a census going, and so we're trying to, people are pushing this census, and I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I see these puppets that are telling people to fill out your census.
Isn't that funny?
A puppet.
That's funny.
Now here's the thing, it really upsets me. And I go back to Mr. Rogers on this, but this upsets me. Do not talk to me like a child. I may not be the smartest person, I may be ignorant, but I'm gonna tell you this, when you start talking to me like I'm a child, you lose me, right? And so as soon as I see that census thing, I go, well, we already filled out our census, government, in case you're listening. I already got mine in. But when I see that, I go, I want nothing to do with
Wait a
that.
minute.
Because you're talking to me like a child.
Joe Biden could be listening because we're competing with his podcast. Remember that?
I don't know if Joel would even know what a podcast is.
I thought he was doing one.
He is, but he probably forgot. Oh, another joke. I'm full on today.
Keep him coming, keep him coming.
So anyway.
Anyway.
Oh my
that one,
goodness.
please.
We are not political. All right. We are religious. All right. So anyway.
We endorse God.
Yeah, that's right. That's
And all
right.
eternity.
But these people, but I've been seeing this with pastors lately of trying to talk to people, talk to their congregation like they're children. I hate illustrations. I hate visual illustrations more than anything. If I can't explain to you an illustration through my mouth, then we have a problem. And I understand that sometimes you want to show it just to like drive your point, but I know a lot of people like to drive. They like to live off of those visual illustrations, and it just kind of shows me that you're not very good at explaining illustrations. But you got to learn how to explain illustrations. For me, I like to be a storyteller. I like to get people on. Mike Rowe has a podcast. Have you heard Mike Rowe's podcast?
Not sure what it is.
Oh, Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs.
Oh, that guy. Okay, yeah,
He has a podcast. It's called.
Name wasn't ringing a bell.
He's gonna kill me. Sorry, Mike. He has a podcast where he talks about.
You partnership with him or something?
It's like The Way He Heard It. I think it's called The Way I Heard It.
I love Dirty Jobs. That was a good show.
In a partnership with him. Gosh, hang on to that thought. And so I said,
I apologize, my phone's stinking.
Mike Rowe, but what he does is he tells the story. Like he goes through this entire story and you're like you're just on the edge of your seat the whole time learning about this person, and at the very end he reveals who it is and she's like somebody famous, a celebrity.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I didn't know that about that celebrity, one, and then two, it's amazing that was that guy. And so I just love storytelling. So when I'm sitting there, I want to take people on a ride anyway, and so I don't need a big old. I don't need to build like a fence in the background so that you can see me do an illustration on fences or whatever. Like,
Wow, clever.
I know. It drives me nuts. And
It's a good-
the pouring the water into the thing, like everybody's done that.
Right.
Everybody, and we've all seen it. And so I really.
It's not that that's not a bad illustration, but if you,
It's a great illustration.
It's a great
Explain
illustration.
it. Explain it to me though.
I was gonna say, I think the
with your
point
words.
you're trying to get across is just, I don't know.
Explain it with your
Just-
words.
Yeah, explain it with your words. Yeah.
The problem is all these educated pastors aren't very educated and they can't speak very well. And we see that with their language. I swear, if I have to hear another pastor use cuss words during their sermons, I never understand that either. If you can't find a substitute word to get your point across, it shows you how uneducated you are.
It's a good point.
So don't speak to me like a child, right?
People don't like it.
Preach so that people can understand. Mr. Rogers.
Everybody.
Mr. Rogers, one of his greatest things, and he was literally geared towards kids, so he's a little bit more reserved. But his big thing was when he spoke to children, he didn't speak to them in a way that was childish or, manipulative. He talked to them he talked to them like they were humans. And that's really all that we ask as a congregation, I think. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, even with us doing the youth here at Trinity, yes, we're talking to teenagers, 6th graders, stuff like that. So yes, it's a little bit more, but you have to talk to them like they're not kids almost, so they can grow
Yes.
and learn.
Well, if you treat someone like a kid their
They're
entire
gonna
life,
stay
guess what? They're going
like
to
a
stay as a
kid.
kid.
Yeah.
I
They're going
like
to stay that way. You got to give them, I don't know if confidence is the word, but that's kind of the way.
Yeah, I think of me starting driving a car. That's what I think about.
That's a scary thought.
If my parents wouldn't have made me go on my own and drive an expressway,
I wish they would
I
let you
wouldn't
drive.
have done it today.
And I also think we have
Have you ever seen Brittany drive?
Yeah, it's terrible. I also don't think that we also stress the fact that people are smarter than we realize.
Yeah.
Right? Kids are smart. Kids
They're
are doing
very smart.
Kids are doing things with their technology that I know half of us can't do. Right? right? This pandemic has been a great example
Yes,
of
it
it
has.
because I've seen so many pastors who have zero idea how to keep their camera straight, let alone record themselves. So kids are smart, so don't talk to them like they're idiots. Don't talk to your congregation like they're idiots, right? Talk to them normal.
Kids know what they know. Like they know
Yes.
they know if they know things that are true, right? They know things more than you think. I mean, they're in school. They know a lot of stuff, right? So just treat them like they're
And stop
educated, you know?
And stop. I tell you what, let's take another break. We'll continue this because I want to talk a little bit about the fear that we try to push on the church.
And we've got one more topic. I sparked an idea with the partnership thing, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
So hang on to that thought, and we'll wrap it up when we get back.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Next, we got to get commercials in there or something.
I think we should. Yeah,
Maybe I'll work on
I
something.
don't know.
But we're talking about the children. Don't speak to us like children. Mr. Rogers, and I think we already talked about Mr. Rogers. Did we talk about Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, you brought it up a little bit.
What was the thing we were going to talk about? The power. What was the thing you brought up with the partnership? Let's go from there.
Well, partnership.
Didn't you say
I
that?
think I made a joke about it. What did I say? I don't remember exactly what I said, but I made a joke about it because I said, "Are you in partnership with what was his name? Mike Rowe? No, it was Mike Rowe. Was it Mike Rowe?
Yeah, it was
I
micro.
think it was Mike Rowe.
It was micro.
Here's the thing that I've been
John
seeing that's really been bothering me. We'll even call this final thoughts with Abram Crozier.
Wow, what a
Things I hate about the coronavirus.
Oh, I like that. This is a new segment for us. I like
It's a
it.
good segment because I get to vent. One thing that I've been seeing is deceitfulness. One of the things that we have to understand is that being a pastor, a Christian, people are watching us, and people recognize when we are being deceitful, and they recognize when we're lying or we're manipulating. And again, there's really no reason for it, really. And so, what I've been seeing is partnerships.
Talking Facebook.
I'm talking Facebook.
Yeah.
I saw somebody go, "Hey, we're in partnership with
Blank.
blank."
Celebrity. Insert celebrity.
Oh yeah, we'll go that route. So there's opportunities online where you can actually, I know Carrie, is it Joby or Job?
I think it's Job. I think she says Job.
Okay, Carrie Joby and her husband,
Carrie Job.
they write.
We call her Carrie Joby.
They do worship.
See if she's listening.
They do
Call her
worship. I'm pretty sure it's Joby. Carrie Joby writes. They do worship songs for Sunday morning, and you can get that, and you can upload it to put it on your videos so that they can
They
do
do the
worship.
work. They
for
do the
it.
worship for you. Yeah.
And really, the reason they're doing that is because some churches just don't have worship, and they want to fill that time in. So
And it looks good for them because they're.
yeah,
But they're doing it
helping
for a good
out.
purpose. They're
I'm
trying
sure.
to help
I'm
out,
sure
you
it
know.
costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
But then that church should very easily say, hey, we're paying for this service. If somebody asks,
Yeah.
hey, we're paying for this service, and why? Maybe even why. Or, yeah, we're glad that they gave us an opportunity to purchase this service. Whatever the case is.
Give them credit.
But instead, I'm seeing churches go, no, we're partnering with Carrie Job. Carrie Job is partnering with us to do this. It's like, no, Carrie Job has no idea who you are.
This is just one example. But we're
Or
thinking
Carrie
about
Joby,
this
I don't know. Maybe some of you like that name, Carrie Joby, more. I don't know. Another one is like our Crossings camp canceled
That's the church camp.
in
we're going
June.
to.
It's a
In
church
June,
camp
yeah.
we're going
It's,
to. It's here in Kentucky.
down near Lame Food Lakes.
They canceled here in June, and then again I saw deceitfulness from pastors going, well, we're partnering with this decision. No, they're not. They made that decision a long time ago.
Moral of the point is, just tell it how it is, right?
Tell it how it is.
Just be honest. Just
Be
say,
honest.
Just say, hey, we just got an
Hey.
email because the funniest. You might think we're trying to be judgmental or whatever, but the funny thing is,
Final thoughts.
The
It's final
final
thoughts.
thoughts. The
It's
funny thing
coronavirus.
is, I've got proof for this. The funny thing is, I've got that same exact email on my phone,
Yeah, that's the point.
and I wasn't in partnership.
We
with them.
know that
We know the truth, right?
The
So,
truth,
the
right?
fact-
Don't say, hey, we've been working with the CDC. The CDC ain't working with you, buddy. They care less. They don't care who you are. So don't say, hey, we've been working with the CDC, or I've even heard people go, we've been working with local authority. And it's like, no, you've never even spoken to local authority. The mayor is putting something out to the community, and you guys are just copying it.
Right.
So don't be deceitful.
Just be honest.
And
with
if
them,
we're
you know?
seeing it as someone who doesn't even probably know you,
Yeah.
the people who are closest to you see it. So what do you think they're thinking? Your
It's just
members?
a bad look.
We're partnering with local schools. And it's like, no. The principal goes to your church. you know?
Right. Yeah.
Give them credit.
Give them
Thanks.
And just be like, thanks to the principal who
Yeah,
goes to our
just-
church
just give
for helping us out.
This is really helpful advice.
I think it is.
If you find yourself in that situation or you know someone in that situation, it's really helpful advice because I don't know. It looks better if you. To me, I would think I would want to give more people credit. And then we were talking about this before we went on air today. You give them credit. I think it looks really good for the church because then they're like, yeah. I mean, we're in the community. We've got people out here. We're willing to do these things.
Oh wow! My principal goes to your church. Had no idea.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start going.
Maybe
That's
I'll start
awesome.
going.
Or maybe
I know
I'll reach out
somebody.
to my principal and ask her about it or whatever. I mean, there's some doors that can open.
So don't be deceitful. Another thing that's really been bothering me because we're gonna do two final thoughts today.
Ooh.
My second final thought
You're getting blessed.
is fear inside of our churches. Don't push fear. Don't push. This is the new normal is a fear tactic. I believe. They're trying to make you fearful so that you won't go back to sports and Kings Island and all that stuff. But here's the thing. I want to watch sports again. I want NASCAR to be back on TV. I want to be able to go to a NASCAR race. I want to be able to go on vacation again.
Speaking of NASCAR race, I'm really bummed out we can't go to that.
We were going to go, last year was my first time ever going to the Kentucky Speedway. It was one of the greatest days of my life. Behind my kids being born and my wedding.
Day. But
And becoming pastor.
if you've never been to a NASCAR race, I highly encourage it. Because you can. That's exactly what it sounds like. Anyway, you cannot experience anything like it in your life.
I've watched NASCAR on TV for years.
You think NASCAR's boring?
And it
Go to a
was-
NASCAR race.
Well, I don't know why anybody would think it was boring. If you think it's boring, you've never watched a NASCAR race.
But anyway, go to a race because you get it's everything. You get the smell, you get the sight,
sound,
you get the sound. I mean,
sight.
You feel the vibrations in your state. It's the greatest thing ever.
I think it's the most boring thing ever.
She's never been to see one live.
Yes, I have.
That's what that's all about.
Yes, I have, guys.
Boring.
You watched.
When we were gonna take,
Cars.
I was gonna take my wife. He was gonna take Brittany. And the problem is, they bailed on us. And
What? You bailed on us?
Not you, Andrew.
Oh, okay, good.
Brittany
Yeah.
and
Brittany and Becky did. That's very
They
good.
bailed on us because they go, their governor is saying we can't do it. So,
I'll
but
go
we're gonna go somewhere. We're gonna find a track.
We'll take a guy's trip to
Yep.
Tennessee. We'll go
This
to
is
Bristol or
wrong because
something.
Becky's not here to
Or
defend
Talladega
herself. I'm here.
Speedway.
Well, I found
Where's
more
that
research, though.
located?
Talladega? Are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh, it's in Talladega. Now listen,
Oh, Florida.
it's not in Florida.
Wait, it's not?
Oh my gosh! All right, so
Daytona.
your homework this week is to figure out where Talladega is.
Speaking of homework,
Go ahead.
Brittany has no idea. I was showing her pictures. Let me show you these pictures real fast. Yeah, on the podcast, you aren't going to be able to see this. I asked Brittany who this was. Now, Abram, tell me very clearly who
Send
that
this
is.
picture to me.
Dr.
I'm
Dre.
gonna post this on the podcast.
Very
Send this to
clearly.
me.
Okay, I will. But for you guys just
Dr.
listening,
who?
Dr. Dre.
Brittany thinks it's Dr. Dre.
Dre.
Abram, tell him who's in this picture.
That is Michael Jordan.
This is a picture of Michael
in a
Jordan.
nurse outfit.
In a nurse's outfit. I'm not sure why.
It's a doctor outfit. He's acting like he's doctoring up the
Exactly. So
basketball.
that's a pretty logical answer for someone who didn't know who it was.
Dr.
Brittany's-
Dre.
I knew basketball.
Dr.
Dr.
Dre
Dre.
is not basketball. You're talking about not Dr. Dre.
Dr.
And
who?
he's not even a doctor. That.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Isn't Dr. Dre the
He's a rapper.
rapper? Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand.
Oh, he's a
What-
rapper? He's a
Physics-
basketball player that's called like
There's
Doctor
nobody
something.
Dr.
No.
Dr. Shoot.
Dr. Drew. No, that's not
No.
Dr. Drew. That's
This still got the big old beard.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they're on me because I don't know something.
I'm going to edit this so that I can be correct on this.
Oh,
And
well,
Dr.
comment
J,
below if
Dr.
you knew who this was.
Dr. Julius Irving.
Hold on.
Dr. Julius Irving. It is Dr. J.
Dr. J. Not
You're
Dre.
thinking Dre.
Dr. J.
Dr. J.
J,
Julius
not
Irving.
Dr. Dre.
Okay, Abram,
Sorry,
this is your
guys.
favorite. Tell me who this is and describe this picture.
All right, this is Kobe Bryant with glasses with a Bulls jersey on.
Okay, I asked Brittany who this was. You know what
Eating
she says?
McDonald's.
She says, is that LeBron James? I said, Brittany. She said, it's the guy that just died, right? LeBron James. I said, Brittany!
First off, LeBron James is alive and well.
Healthy.
I know.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe he is. I don't know. I
Losing
don't
a lot of
know.
his hair, but he's alive and
He's
well.
lost his hair for a long time. Point of this fact is, this is obviously a picture of Kobe Bryant. And Brittany,
I
earlier
couldn't think
today,
of
Those are the two
Name.
greatest basketball players to ever
Michael Jordan, Kobe
walk
Bryant.
this earth.
she actually said Shaquille O'Neal for one of those two. I'm not sure which one she
Now,
was
I know who
guessing at.
Shaq is. He's
Dr.
tall.
Julius Irving was the first. He was the one that started doing all these crazy dunks and behind the backboard shooting, and then they kind of took the mantle and ran with it.
Listen.
Okay, but come on.
I don't know,
Give me a break. LeBron James never even participated in a slam dunk contest. He will never, ever be on the Mount Rushmore or anything in basketball.
I'm going to go on a limb here and say that 99.9% of our audience would be able to recognize
Yes.
a picture of Kobe Bryant and or Michael
Send
Jordan.
those pictures to me.
my.
I'm going to post them up on the podcast.
I guarantee
online.
you.
And if you're wanting to see this live, go to Abram Crozier Ministries on YouTube, and I will show you these pictures because this will blow your mind.
Isn't that
Guys,
great? That's
that was a young picture of Kobe.
Kobe
And I
looked the
knew
same.
who it
Kobe
was.
in high school, Kobe looked exactly like
Same
he
with
did.
Michael Jordan.
They
They
both.
both just gained a little weight in the face because they got.
That's
a
it.
little-
I
That's
thought
it.
Michael Jordan was dead. I'm just gonna be
Michael
straight
Jordan
up.
is not dead. He is the owner of the North Carolina, whatever they are.
No, Charlotte Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets. Yes, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte Hornets. I don't care. He's not very good at what he does, but
Anyway.
he's doing very well for himself. And there's literally a documentary right now called The Last Dance on ESPN.
As a
Which
matter
I
of
thought was
on
about
Netflix.
LeBron James.
It's not about LeBron because
It's about-
wow, that makes sense. He's still playing. It's not his last dance. Michael Jordan's literally
I
last
thought Michael
dance.
Jordan was,
His
like,
last
really
run
old.
for his. What'd you say?
How old is he?
Who?
Michael
Jordan?
Jordan.
I don't know.
Michael Jordan is 45 or something.
He ain't that young.
He's maybe 50.
I think he's in his 50s, maybe a little
Who
bit.
cares? What does it matter?
He's alive.
He's the greatest basketball player. Everybody always talks about Michael Jordan. Want to be like Mike. Everybody talks about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant just died a few weeks ago.
What's
or
the funny
months ago.
thing? Brittany says she loves the movie Like Mike.
That's about him.
Like Mike with Bow Wow.
Like
Yeah.
Mike.
With Bow Wow.
Yeah, I love that movie. I used to watch it all the time. I play
that is
basketball,
exactly.
so.
Oh, I play basketball, so I don't know who Michael Jordan is, and I don't know anything about
I
Like
didn't
Mike.
know who
I've
he
never
looked
seen
like.
Space Jam before. You ever seen Space Jam?
I'm gonna make her watch it today.
You ever seen
Watch-
Space Jam?
We'll watch
No.
it today.
You never seen Space Jam?
No.
Okay.
You get 3 sports in that movie. You get basketball. You get
Cartoons.
You get cartoons, but sports wise, you get
Oh.
basketball,
Isn't
baseball,
Bugs Bunny in
and
that?
golf. You get golf.
What's that?
Isn't Bugs Bunny in
And
that?
Bill Murray and Larry Bird. He should
Which
know
Brittany
Larry
doesn't know who Larry Bird
Larry
is.
Bird is a bird that was at the zoo.
Named Larry.
Wrong.
He's a basketball player.
Only because I told you.
And
Larry.
he's white. That's why she knows he's white. Okay.
Brought the race card in here. Oops.
We
were really off topic there for a minute,
Really
but
off
that's
topic. I
okay.
apologize. But my final thoughts are that. Right. So let's end this. Hey, great news. Great news.
What's that? Hit us with it.
My brother just sent me a final draft of our own Preaching Young jingle. So this might be the last time you'll
That you
hear
get to hear
me
Abram
sing it. So it's finally going to be put on tape.
Anyway,
So I'm excited about that. God loves you. My name's Abram Crozier.
Andrew Baker.
And I'm Brittany.
And this is Preaching Young. I said Preaching Young. I said Preaching Young.
We're out again. Hey guys, what's up? We thank you for listening to our podcast today. If you have any questions, you can email us at preachingyoung, no caps, no spaces, @gmail.com. Hope to see you next time.